we'll have special guests from the cast and crew of The Wheel of Time. Plus, we'll be breaking down some exclusive behind-the-scenes footage and talking Episode 5 with our fellow Wheel of Time fans. And don't forget, stick around for a first look at next week's episode. Welcome to Amazon's official after show, Inside The Wheel of Time. I'm your host and innkeeper, Matt Hatch. Well, if you don't hate White Cloaks by now, you will. Let's get inside Episode 5. Logain's caged and paraded through the streets of Tar-Valon. A madness overtakes Matt. Rand meets an Ogier, and White Cloaks capture and torture Perrin and Egwene, while Lan and the Tower grieve for Steppen's suicide. Will Nynaeve join the Aes Sedai? And what will the Amyrlin do about the sisters who gentled Logain?
When this project came to me, what excited me was the fact that I'm going to get to design many cultures. We find our map, and in our map we have our lands, and in each land is a different culture. Each culture encompassed textile, color, pattern, motif, cultural references, and that's how we started.
Right now, I'm joined by Isis Mussenden, the costume designer of The Wheel of Time. Isis, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me. It's very exciting to meet a fan of these amazing books.
Have you ever had a chance to kind of get into the books?
I did have the amazing fortune, myself and my assistant designer, Gypsy Taylor. Our introduction to the Wheel of Time was through the voice and the enthusiasm of one of the greatest fans, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah's wonderful. She's a great person to sit down with and start talking to the Wheel of Time about with, that's for sure.
She was my confidant throughout the entire 2 years. If we ever had questions, because you can't possibly find every passage, Sarah would go for us. She'd go and dive into the books. She'd give us the information we needed and the support we needed for the story and for the fans.
How do you prepare to costume a world of this scale?
We started with creating a map for ourselves that was color-coded with all the different countries in the world and all the different influences that those countries were referred to through the books, through Robert Jordan. He did these mashups of cultures, these fusions. I mean, all of this was new to me and it was fascinating. We had the different cultures then. We come from the different countries, and then tribes like the Tinkers and armies like the White Cloaks and the Ilion, and it just goes on and on and on. So first of all, we just need to gather all this information and visually put together our book of what we thought we could build along those lines, reflecting Robert Jordan's words as to who and where these people came from.
I'm imagining this map. Is it as beautiful as I imagine it is?
Well, I'll tell you, my assistant designer, Gypsy Taylor, she's brilliant. She's from Australia originally. We've worked together since Narnia. She was literally drawing it as we were talking.
Like, I can't even fathom trying to map his world in such a way for you to kind of consume it all and be able to begin to make costuming decisions.
Matt, that's the fun of it. We're not bound by anything. It's fantasy. I'm only bound by the script and the story that we want to get across, so that I can tell that story visually.
Yeah.
And then getting all these tidbits from the books that help me say, that has a Romanian influence and a Croatian influence, and then we can go into the folkloric clothes of Romania and Croatia, and throw a mash in of some contemporary stuff, and then, what do we end up with? So it's all about the interpretation. That's the fun of doing fantasy.
What were some of your inspirations for various costumes that you designed? I
can think of one that gives you an instance. So for Moraine, our beautiful Rosamund Pike, who is such a muse, she's absolutely beautiful and she's so smart and such a good actress that she was a great collaborator. As some people know, she's from the Blue Aja. Blue is a beautiful color. Sometimes it works on screen, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's a little scary which blues to go with. And immediately I thought of Picasso's Blue Period, which is one of the most beautiful set of paintings I've ever seen in my life. I saw it years ago when I was younger in Barcelona, and it just stuck in my head. I immediately pulled up those photographs of the paintings, and I met with Rosamund, and we went through it, and I said, well, what do you think? And she was like completely on board with that. So we started pulling blues out. See, if it works in the painting, it'll work in the clothing. If it works in the scale of the painting, it'll work in the scale of the clothing.
I know one of the ones fans are talking about are the White Cloaks. Yeah, what went into, creating those costumes?
Well, the controversial white cloaks.
Yes.
And I think they are controversial just because of who they are in the story. Are they good? They're evil? Are they like it's a very, very mixed bag of a definition of who they are. They're called the white cloaks as a derogatory comment. They think of themselves as children of the light. So they are zealots, they are righteous. I started putting together little KKK because they're white, little ecclesiastic garb because they seem so crusadish. Also, the idea of white cloaks, to me, reminded me of the Knights of the Templar. And that might even be where the influence came from. But for me, I didn't want it to look like that. I didn't want the audience to go there. I didn't want it to be so derivative of something so specific. So I mashed a cloak and a cape, and I gave them these cape cloaks, almost with a mantle in the front, a different style mantle. So it was something that is there and can move while they're riding horses and while they're shifting and moving, but it's not encompassing them in some kind of robe. The fact they wear white in the forest, I mean, come on now. Let's just start with that. They wear white in the forest.
I don't want to be the people trying to keep that white, that's for sure.
No. We had a lot of fun splatting mud on their pants and stuff, the mud from the horses. I love them, good or bad. They're going to be interesting.
Welcome back to Inside the Wheel of Time. We're here to break down episode 5 with my fellow Wheel of Time geeks. So thank you very much, Daniel Green, Rhythma, and Critter for being here with me. I really appreciate this. Can't wait to jump into episode 5 because we haven't really gotten past the consequences of the last episode. I think most notably has to be Stepan commits suicide. Speak to me about how this impacted you as a viewer.
Well, it's basically one of the most emotional haymakers you're going to get from the show so far, and I've watched this episode twice now, and what I really saw in the second time through was how much the character was saying goodbye, and you don't really see that until it is that second time through, and it makes the ending all the more tragic because Lan didn't see that, and that's an accurate representation, unfortunately, of how a lot of these events unfurl, and so it was just kind of true to what that can be, and it made the emotional weight of what the end result is of the character just resonate all the stronger. So yeah, took a moment to stare into the black void of my screen after credits rolled both times.
When it comes to how Lan ends this episode, how did you react to that moment with him at his funeral?
It was very interesting to see Lan show emotion like this. It was almost refreshing to have that interaction between Lan and all the warders before Stepan's death. I don't think in popular culture or media you get to see men showing emotion like that just in general. I think the ideals of masculinity often preclude men from being able to be open with their grief and to be loud about their grief. And so to see Lan thumping his chest with emotion and crying and yelling, I thought was very powerful. It makes sense for a show that is coming out in 2021 that, men should be able to express emotions and have these relationships. I found it really, really powerful.
You know that Lan probably has some degree of guilt just because he was kind of the last guy with him. Obviously, he couldn't have predicted what was going to happen and that he was going to get drugged, but I'm sure that probably didn't help at all. And so seeing him react in that way, I totally agree with Rhythma. It was so impactful. And then Moiraine, we've learned about this bond between the warder and the Aes Sedai, and you just saw it in full force because they can sense each other's emotions. And they're just kind of like feeding off of each other in this like horrifically tragic scenario. I think both of the actors did an incredible job in this scene. It was a tearjerker to say the least. Yeah, it was something else.
As an actor, you dream of having chances like that to sort of stretch your emotional wings and really give it a go. It was also very scary because it was in front of like 30 or 40 people and other actors that I respect a great deal, and and it was kind of like an action land. It was tricky. I wanted to find the right balance, and hopefully we did. I didn't want to press it too far, but I wanted to make sure that that sort of guttural grief was present. And in that context, he's the one who's grieving for everyone. And also, I think it boosted the sense of what the bond means, because Moiraine could feel that. And even though she wasn't supposed to be necessarily crying in that scene, she couldn't help herself because she was feeling that moment. And so it was a really tough, challenging, beautiful day.
We're just getting a lot of trauma in this episode. Episode 5 doesn't end because Perrin and Egwene have been captured. Did that surprise you, Rhythma, this moment of Egwene and Perrin being assaulted by White Cloaks? How did you experience that or take that in as a viewer?
I think it just speaks to how awful the White Cloaks are and how far they're willing to go to debase these women who can channel. Egwene is my favorite character, so watching her go through that was very hard for me, but I think that Egwene shows her true colors in this scene. She's trying so hard to protect Perrin at the same time and be strong for him. They're both trying so hard to protect each other in this scene.
Daniel, were you surprised by Eamon Valda's tactics here?
I've said he seems like someone who might be waiting under your bed. He's a monster to his core, and seeing our characters put in their most vulnerable positions, stripped, bathed, taken their own agency away from them, saying you're in our control. And we also get the detail of he makes Egwene undo her braid, which we've seen as a very big signifier for this culture of adulthood. And it's just trying to, as much as possible, put them in a position of feeling weak. And obviously that turns around and bites him in the ass when we see, no, Perrin isn't. He stands up, and you didn't realize how much shorter he was than Perrin until you really do.
It was very exciting to see the golden eyes pop out. As a book reader, I was waiting for it, and then, the wolves descend to help him, and we were deciding back and forth between, are the wolves helping or are they just scary? I suggested that it seemed like they were helping, and now it definitely seems like they're helping. And Perrin is finally acknowledging that, I know about these guys, and I've got something going on with them that it seems beneficial for maybe both parties, but definitely beneficial for Perrin. Egwene also did an incredible job. Madeline Madden crushed it. You saw her being traumatized, and she still was super, super strong. And then we got the story from Nynaeve. Egwene got sick, and she ended up beating it. Egwene is many things, but above all else, she's unbreakable. That was such a good quote, and I totally agree with it. And knowing everything I know about Egwene, I love that they're playing up her strength this early, because she is an incredibly strong character, and I feel like Madeline Madden's doing a great job with her.
We have to kind of talk through Logain being paraded through the city. Anything interesting you thought you saw happen there?
Well, it was really interesting how this show decided to utilize Logain to send Matt into even more of a mentally not great state, because he's fully seeming to just kind of lose it due to the pressure that's on him and Rand right now. And I get why they're too afraid to go to the tower, and instead they're just hanging out, trying to figure out what best to do and how to meet up with their friends they're desperate to find. And it kind of accumulates in this moment where Matt is begging Rand to tell him, I didn't kill that child, right? Tell me that. And we get established they think Tom's dead, which is not good. The person who seemed to be the only lifeline they had has died to a fade. And Matt is kind of now believing he slaughtered this family. And poor Rand is also trying his best.
Rhythma, for you, do you like this idea that Matt is consumed with the idea that he might be the Dragon Reborn?
After last episode, with Nynaeve being so powerful, we definitely still have everyone on the table. Even though Nynaeve is super powerful, it could be anyone, and it definitely could be Matt. He certainly is showing signs of some kind of illness or madness. I really like how the show is kind of giving each character a fair shot at the prize of being the Dragon Reborn.
We had all 7 leads to create iconic costumes that they were going to wear the entire show, and had to be approved by directors, actors, and ourselves.
Isis is very smart in her approach on costume, and I think it always gives details that help the actor to find the character.
It was a feat, let's just say that.
When it comes to, I would imagine, diversity of costuming that you had to come up with, the 2 rivers, You had so many individuals there to costume. Can you speak to how you went about crafting costuming for all the Two Rivers?
Well, the Two Rivers was our first culture to jump into their motif. We gave motifs and textiles to each culture, and theirs was plaid for us. And they are sheep herders and they're farmers. We threw in a little Mongolian in there, like kind of Mongolian people of the hills. They live in these mountains and these beautiful valleys. In general, that was the Andorians of the Two Rivers. These are who these people are. Then I had to get into our 5 kids. We have Egwene, Rand, Perrin, Nynaeve, and Matt. And each one of them does have a different place in their community and in their society. Rand is our sheep herder who lives up the mountain with his father and herds the sheep. So I built a sheepskin coat for him that he would have been able to put together himself. And then Perrin is our forger, who's our blacksmith. He has a leather apron that we made that he would wear, he and also Layla, his wife. Egwene is the innkeeper's daughter, so she's like kind of the city girl. She looks really pretty and clean, and she serves food, and she's just a little more from the town. Nynaeve is our wisdom. She has bags with herbs and aprons where she can put things, and she's always prepared to nurse people and heal people. There's a very straightforward costuming for me once I knew what Andor was. Once we know where we are, then I need to find the characters within that culture.
Are there specific things, like little nuances of the design that you think fans should look for that they might miss in all the spectacle?
I had a team of over 60 people working for me. Jewelry makers, leather workers. There's a lot of detail in the leather. You have to look at all the leather pieces because all of the tooling in the leather is related to the motifs of that culture. We had our forger, our blacksmith, making dies to hammer and to create the designs of those cultures. There's a lot of detail because for us, that's what makes it not only fun, but that's what makes it complete. You might not see it right away, but you feel it. If we have parameters for our design, then everything starts to fall together in those designs. That's where the details come in. There are certain nods to things in the books that we have. I'm not going to tell you them. You guys are going to have to find them yourself. No cheating.
Of all the costumes, is there a favorite for you?
Matt, like I said, I had the most incredible crew, the most talented makers from London to South Africa to Australia to New Zealand. I mean, just everybody was so incredible that there's so many beautiful costumes. But in general, I mean, the Tinkers just put a smile on my face because if there's something completely opposite from the White Cloaks, it's the Tinkers. They're a tribe, they're nomadic, they're full of color. They're based on this beautiful Peruvian tribe who believed in reincarnation, which connected to our wheel of time as the wheel turns. They're pacifists and kind and warm. Just the whole Tinkers are just beautiful, I think. I am very proud. We did a lot of good work, and it took an entire army of us to do it. And we hope you guys like it.
I know how much the fans will appreciate just hearing that there was an army that were costuming the Wheel of Time world, and that much care and that much influence just of it sounded like all of the designers that you came from all across the world to bring in such a diverse feel to the costuming. That is so Wheel of Time, and I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt, for having me, and you know what? It was our pleasure.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thanks again. Take care, Matt.
Experience the origins of the Wheel of Time with exclusive animated bonus content from Prime Video X-Ray, and see how the world broke. Simply press up on your Fire TV remote to have access to X-Ray, or by tapping on your mobile device. Each episode is an expansive backstory in the Wheel of Time that must be seen to know the whole truth. watch the Wheel of Time series and its origin stories with X-Ray.
There's a key character we haven't brought up yet that we meet in this episode, Loyal. You just met, like Rand did, in Ogier.
It's really interesting how they've decided to bring the Ogier to life, but I think my favorite thing about Loyal so far is the performance. I so love the small details that are there, like Rand keeps moving around touching stuff and Loyal's just picking up behind him and just fidgeting and fussing, and that's just Loyal to his core. In terms of the actor behind the costume, I don't know what preparation he did, but the man became an Ogier.
I love how he kept, like, going off on tangents, and then, like, Rand would, like, interrupt him, and I was like, no, let him finish. I want to hear what he has to say, which is so true to the books. Like, Loyal is always, like, just, like, rambling about something. I feel like Loyal is, like, the Wheel of Time fan of Wheel of Time. Like, he's just always just talking so much. As soon as Rand walked into a bookstore, I was like, I had to pause and be like, oh my god, it's Loyal, he's coming. And yeah, we didn't see him in any of the trailers or anything, so it was really exciting to finally see him on the screen.
I mean, I screamed a little bit because it was very exciting. I mean, he's a fan favorite. It's hard not to love him. Just his, like, slow talking, his constant marveling at how hasty humans are. And honestly, I feel like we got something kind of interesting out of him, which was he kept calling Rand an Aielman. Like, you know, it's interesting to meet an Aielman from the Two Rivers that doesn't know that he's an Aielman or whatever that quote was. Yeah. It was really funny, and it also kind of gave us, like, some things to think about. Like, why does Rand have the coloring of an Aielman? This is interesting. He does look different than everybody else from the Two Rivers. I wonder why that is, you know? Loyal being Loyal, he's going to point out the obvious and not worry about feelings, and he did just that, and he gave us stuff to think about while being incredible and a fan favorite and super fun to listen to.
I guess that's one of the things that stood out to me from these first 5 episodes I've watched. I've really loved the performances. I've loved the characters coming to life.
I do want to shout out Yosha Stradowski as Rand. I just think he captured the sweet boyishness of Rand really well, but there's also peaks of something a little more firmer, a little harder to him, especially like a couple episodes ago where he yelled at Moiraine and had this very like authoritative like voice. So there's definitely more to him, but right now he's like just this sweet little sheep herder, and I love him.
Honestly, it's really hard to pick between any of these people. I'm in love with how my favorite books are being portrayed by all of the actors, but Daniel Henney, him as Lan, is incredible. I think he's bringing so much to the character that I wasn't expecting, but I'm fully buying into now. He has such a strong, like, grief, his flirting with Nynaeve, his dynamic with Moiraine. He's got so many different facets to his character that he's just nailing.
Rhythm, any kind of standout quotes you'll walk away from episode 5 with?
Yeah, I do have one. It's right as Moiraine and Lan and the party of Aes Sedai are about to get into Tar Valon, and Lan is like, are you excited to be home? And then Moiraine is like, no, this saddle is home, this cloak, these boots are my home, this brooding man right next to me. She's just like this very swashbuckling character. I just find her so cool. She's everything I want to be. She's just like awesome, honestly.
We didn't really talk about Leandra in this episode, and I feel like we have this undercurrent of, you know, the Red Aja being sneaky. Yet again, she approaches Nynaeve. She's trying to get into her good graces in some way, and it's so disingenuous. It's disgusting. And I think she ends the conversation with, the persimmons are in season. It literally just made me want to barf. Like, I cannot stand Leandra. And I think, so yeah, that actress is really killing it. Like, I am not a fan, and I don't think I'm supposed to be.
I've always known I was going to hate them, but I hate them violently here. The Red Aja are a group that they're extremely effective at their job, but unfortunately their job is to be detestable.
So with that being said, I have to ask, are viewers, are any of you asking yourselves a question that's just sitting with you at the end of episode 5? How about you, Critter?
Sure. We're still not all reunited, and I'm waiting for that to happen. When is it going to, Perrin and Egwene, they've escaped. So is it going to happen next episode? I'd love to see it. And of course, related to that is, why were Perrin's eyes golden? And is that going to stick around? So two questions that I think for sure that I'm left with.
Are we going to get to see a Red Sister punched in the face by Moiraine? I really want it. I'm really hoping it's coming.
Fingers crossed.
I'm looking forward to maybe seeing the Amerlin seat. I know that she's going to be mad, potentially at Moraine and Leandrin and Ilana for gentling Logain in the last episode, and they still haven't answered for that yet, so that's something I'm looking forward to, possibly.
Thank you, Rhythma, Daniel, and Critter for being with us here inside the Wheel of Time. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
I cannot believe we're more than halfway through Season 1. To my guests tonight, thank you for sitting down with us. Now here's a look at what's to come in Episode 6 of the Wheel of Time. With the Dark One's forces closing in, will Perrin and Egwene make it to Tar-Valon? Will Mat survive the corruption, and is Leandrin's appeal to Nynaeve working? What will Logain's fate be, and what will the Amerlin do about the sisters who gentled Logain? Find out this Friday when the next The Wheel of Time episode drops. Don't forget to hashtag your reactions throughout the season, and we'll do our best to feature your comments in next week's episode. And here is what you all had to say. Username has no name tweeted, I absolutely loved seeing Hamed as Loial the first time, and hearing him speak is exactly how I imagined it. Rafe Judkins and Kelly Valentine Henry did an amazing job. Absolutely, Hamed killed it, and I loved that Loial was trending the night of the release. Carly tweeted, I know I'm never going to stop being biased, but I am starting to love this show in a way that really has nothing to do with my love of the books. Like, it's just a legitimately good show in my opinion, and I'm hyped for every episode. We've joined your hype train, Carly, and can't wait for episode 6 this Friday. Steve the Fade tweeted, Aemon Valda made my face cringe so much it still hurts. Yeah, so much this. Hating Valda is a time-honored Wheel of Time tradition. Lopa Sedai of the Blue Aja tweeted, to me, this episode was all about bonds and platonic love shared amongst people. All the warders, Lan and Steppen, Lan and Moraine, Nynaeve with Mat and Rand, and Perrin and Egwene. You begin to understand what they all mean to each other. That's perfectly said, Lopa, and this will make what's coming all the more meaningful. That's it, my friends. Remember, we want to hear from you every week. So hashtag your comments so we can share them on the show. And be back here next Tuesday for more interviews and behind-the-scenes looks with the cast and crew. I'm your host and innkeeper, Matt Hatch. Thank you for joining us inside the Wheel of Time.
Whoa, oh my gosh! I see the
See you later.
We have to try everything. Drink.
Hello.
This and nighttime.
I don't care about the show. I just want a good blooper reel.
I want to learn science.
You guys are going to make me look like I'm in the show, right? You're going to put in the effects. Replace the green. I don't want to look like an asshole here.
Sorry.